China and Japan have long had a very complex historical relationship. Just by watching Chinese and Japanese films, you can understand. Both countries are located in the East Asia region. More specifically, if you look at a map not just of East Asia but precisely Northeast Asia, you will see winding mountain ranges, seas, and endless chains of islands. These two civilizations stand closely. On one side is vast China, a massive continent, the cradle of numerous empires and ancient civilization. On the other is Japan, an isolated island nation for thousands, which has followed a completely different path of development and surpassed China since around the 19th century. The distance between the two countries is very close, only 800 to 1,000 kilometers as the crow flies. This means a warship departing from the East China Sea could take several dozen hours to reach waters near Japan, while a military aircraft would only take several dozen minutes. Few countries in the world are as close, have a history of confrontation, compete for influence, yet are economically interdependent as China and Japan, and no other neighboring pair has clashed as much as they have. From ancient times to the modern era to the present, placing the China-Japan relationship on a geographical map, you will see all current developments. From island disputes, the Taiwan issue, technological conflict, to citizens being attacked, all at continuous waves crashing into each other. Similar to the sea between the two countries, geography is the foundation, and history is the complex relationships built upon that foundation. China and Japan have had periods of peaceful relations, times of mutual harmony, especially when Japan adopted Chinese Confucianism and Buddhism from China. But from the 19th century onward, when Japan industrialized more rapidly and strong, building a Western-style military after the Meiji Restoration, the balance of power between the two countries, Japan began to view China as a vast land to exploit. Tensions erupted most severely when Japan invaded, leaving painful memories that persist to this day. The war ended long ago, but those painful memories still remain. The relationship between the two countries ended, still unable to fully heal due to three major issues. Three things that keep the two countries always suspicious of each other. These are the unresolved war mystery that has never been curled, the sovereignty dispute involving the Diaoyu Islands, also known as the Senkaku Islands. That is a security issue related to the trio. The United States, China, and Japan. Japan is an ally of the United States located very close. In other words, when history hasn't had time to rest, other issues have already awakened it. And so, it is a smoldering flame, keeping the relationship between the two countries always just waiting to burst into flames and heat up. Returning to the geographical, if you look at the map, Japan lies just outside of China, like a natural wall blocking between the Chinese mainland and the Pacific Ocean. Between the Chinese mainland and Japan is the East China Sea, which includes Taiwan Island, the Okinawa Island chain, and the Senkaku Islands, also known as the Diaoyu. And this is an area with one of the densest military concentrations in Asia. It is where American and Japanese warships patrol regularly. It is also where Chinese aircraft fly close to Japan's air defense identification. Japan's air defense identification zone covers most of their exclusive economic zone. Its eastern boundary was established by the U.S. military after World War II. Along with that is a dense system of radar, missiles, and military bases between the two countries. The frequency of fishing boats and Coast Guard vessels clashing is also high between the. In short, life between China and Japan is always very close. This position is so sensitive that just one ill-timed statement, or an aircraft straying a few kilometers off course, or a fishing boat or military vessel accidentally wandered a short distance, is enough to heat up the situation between the two countries. And as predicted, by the end of 2025, everything erupted from just one statement by the new Japanese Prime Minister. In November 2025, the new Japanese Prime Minister Takashi made a sensitive statement regarding the Taiwan issue. Roughly understood as follows. If Taiwan becomes unstable, Japan might intervene because it is SIs. This statement was inappropriate because it infringes on China, interferes in China's internal affairs, and sends a signal that Japan may lean toward Taiwan and the United States in any conflict. Immediately, China summoned the Japanese ambassador and sent an extremely strong protest note. From the start, the atmosphere between China and Japan shifted from warm to hot. In mid-November, China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a warning advising Chinese citizens to avoid unnecessary travel to Japan. Why? Because according to this reasoning, many attacks targeting Chinese citizens in Japan have occurred. According to China, This year there have been many incidents of Chinese people being attacked in Japan, some of which remain unresolved. This leads them to believe that the safety environment is deteriorating. The second reason is that unfriendly sentiment toward China is increasing. Recently, there have been many debates in Japan surrounding issues such as economic dependence on China. This is hard to avoid when both countries are developing. Some even worry about territorial disputes, tensions in the East China Sea, and especially the Taiwan issue. This makes exchanges between China and Japan more sensitive than ever. And the final reason is still the story of the statement regarding the Taiwan issue. After Prime Minister Takechi's declaration, China believes that the lives and property of Chinese citizens in Japan could be at, even though the actual risk has not been clearly proven. In other words, this is a warning, and this warning carries a practical security tone, while also being a firm diplomatic message to Japan. If you say that, then I must protect my citizens. Thus, within just 1 week in November, a series of actions followed one after another. The story of the Japanese Prime Minister's statement on China's protest and recall of the Japanese ambassador. Media in both countries continuously criticizing. Social sentiment in both countries is becoming tense. Finally, a warning to citizens with a high political alert level. This is a difficult time for Japan. They're trying to balance relations with China, maintaining economic ties with China and keeping the alliance. Meanwhile, China wants to send a message that anyone who mentions the Taiwan issue in a way that threatens its survival will face diplomatic responses like the recent ones. Thus, just one statement by the Japanese Prime Minister has made many issues very complicated. But let's look at the map again, because this statement seems to be the last straw. To understand why just one statement by the Japanese Prime Minister angered China, let's observe the region. Geography here is not just about land shapes, but also the fate of nations. The answer to who controls the sea, who holds the shipping lanes, and who can stand firm if conflict occurs. First, look at Taiwan's location. This island lies right on the route between Japan and Southeast Asia. If conflict unfortunately breaks out, just a minor incident without major gunfire, the entire shipping lane here would be disrupted immediately. For Japan, there's a worry about the severance of economic lifelines, as about 90% of Japan's imported oil passes through this sea area. Japan has almost no oil, no coal, and extremely few domestic resources. How would the economy survive? It might have to breathe oxygen without imported energy. Just a minor incident in the Taiwan Strait is enough to cause oil prices in Japan to soar. Already stagnant, now facing even more difficulty. Not only oil, but over 60% of Japan's trade, meaning exported and imported goods, also must pass through the corridor between Taiwan, the Philippines, and Okinawa. This is a mandatory route for Japanese cargo ships if they want to connect to places like Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, and even our Vietnam. In other words, Taiwan is like a strategic traffic junction. Whoever controls this island has the ability to tighten or open Japan's trade lifelines, and along with that is an equally sensitive factor. That is the presence of the U.S. The United States possesses one of the largest military bases. This base is located in Okinawa, which is only about 600 kilometers away from Taiwan. What does this distance mean? It means that American fighter jets taking off from Okinawa only need a short flight to appear over Taiwan's skies. For China, this creates a sense of insecurity, because it's like, inside your house but there, holding weapons and standing guard. China clearly recognizes that if conflict unfolds, the United States will appear in Japan, the host country of the base, will certainly be brought in. Therefore, for China, Taiwan is not just a territorial issue, but also directly relates to national security. Meanwhile, for Japan, Taiwan is not just a distant island, but is also considered a strategic shield, or more poetically, a protective shield against China's rise. If Taiwan is friendly towards the United States, Japan will certainly feel safer, because there's a buffer between them and China. But if Taiwan is not like that, Japan will feel like China is standing right at their doorstep. Now, let's summarize all the factors mentioned from the beginning, including the vital maritime route, 90% of imported energy, 60% of trade, the U.S. base in Okinawa, China's growing military strength, and the core issue of Taiwan, all combined create an unprecedented security challenge for Japan. Therefore, when Japanese Prime Minister Takeshi mentioned the Taiwan issue, everything exploded. For China, that is no longer just word, but a symbol of readiness in intervening what they consider their most sacred, and that's something China finds very difficult to accept, even at the level of statement. But ironically, no matter how tense, China and Japan remain each other's largest economic partners. Nearly 3 million Chinese people are living in, and Japan is also one of the leading investors in China. China is a major export market for Japanese business, and the two countries' supply chains are tightly intertwined, very difficult to separate. This creates a paradox. The more economically interdependent they are, the more politically tense. Thank you for following this story. If you found it interesting, please subscribe to the Hidden Ledger channel. Join us, let's explore stories together. Travel through different lands, discover new things. Don't hesitate, please leave your feedback. And please reconsider. Subscribe to the Hidden Ledger channel to watch new videos.